I'm pretty happy with how my Texas Lego town of Fred-BRICKS-burg is coming along. However, everything is pretty flat for being in the hill country. So today, I'm going to try to build some hills. Now the real town of Fredericksburg, which my Lego town is based on, is actually settled in a fairly flat area of the hill country. There aren't really too many hills where the main town and all the buildings are, but there are plenty of hills surrounding the outskirts of the town. So my idea is to include some hills in the back of the city starting in the corner here, and then maybe continue them along the back wall if I still have enough pieces. Speaking of pieces, I have 2 big bags of bricks to accomplish this project. There's a kilo of bright green plates and 2 kilos of tan bricks. If you're wondering where I got bricks by the kilo, they came from Webrick. Webrick wanted to collab on a video, so they sent me some parts to check out and share my experience with y'all. This is pretty much going to be my first try at any type of landscaping, and it seems that a lot of people use this technique of just stacking up a bunch of green 2x4 bricks for hills. The only problem is that the hills in my area aren't really that green. I mean, our grass isn't even really green except for a couple weeks of spring every year. So what I'm going to try is topping a tan brick with a bright green plate and then use these modules as my building blocks for the hills. If you look at the hills here, you can usually see dirt on a lot of their slopes, especially on the steeper ones. I think the tan will work well for that, and then the plates can represent the grass. So that's the plan, let's assemble some bricks. Now if you haven't heard of Webrick, it's a website where you can order generic pieces for all your MOCs. They have a super easy to use upload tool where all you have to do is upload your MOCs part list, and it automatically selects everything they have in stock. Additionally, you can even buy parts by the kilo like we have here today. I've used Webrick several times back when they offered a Go Bricks only option, but they claim that their current suppliers are still great quality, so I thought we should check them out again. I guess I'm not getting the widest look today since I'm only using 2 different pieces, but they all seem to be the same high quality as Legos. There is a slight variance in the color, with some a lighter shade and some a darker shade, but the same thing happens with Legos, especially in dark red. And I'm guessing it's probably way more noticeable here with hundreds together at once. For me, I think the convenience of ordering by the kilo and the cost savings, of course, is definitely worth it. Before I start building up the hills, I want to upgrade the wall behind my city. I've seen a lot of people paint their walls blue and even add clouds, but I'm not an artist and I definitely don't want to repaint it back later. So I got some blue fabric here and I'm just going to pin it up around the walls. Now I just need to brush up on my ironing skills. So after 80 square feet of ironing and a decent amount of effort trying to get it all straight, the new sky backdrop is installed. I picked this pattern hoping it would kind of represent some clouds in the sky and help give a little more depth than just a plain solid color, which I think it does a decent job at. It's not perfect as there are still some wrinkles, and then there's this big crease down the middle from where the fabric came folded that just won't go away with ironing. But I'm hoping gravity will help those fall out over time. There was also plenty of material to make the sky higher, but I didn't want to mess with cutting it around this recessed area, so I just kept it at that height for now. I had to move all these buildings in order to hang up the sky, but now that they're back in place, you can let me know what you think. I know the Alt-Build Avenue area isn't the best with it being so cramped, but I think the sky still adds to it. Although I do think it looks the best over in historical Fred-BRICKS-burg. I got some more of these big 32x32 plates in green, and I'll lay them down in this area to build the hills on. I really like these off-brand plates as they're much sturdier than Lego base plates, and they're actually in system, unlike base plates. I don't know why Lego doesn't make any. In theory, everything should fit perfectly, but walls aren't perfect, so I had to cut off a row of studs on the back row of plates, and then the whole corner on this one. If it hurts you to see this, just remember that these are off-brand anyway. Now they're able to just fit in the space. So here's the footprint of what I think might look good for the hills. This will take up 4 of the base plates and leave 2 in the front for an area we can build up in the future. Now I'm going to take these plates and build on my desk instead of awkwardly up on my city loft. I honestly don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm basically just going back and forth, adding 1 row of modules at a time, trying to keep the overall shape of the hills I want in mind. This definitely seems like a skill that gets better with practice. And here are my hills. I tried my best to mimic the hills we have here in the hill country. A lot of the hills here have this wavy plateau thing going on with various offshoot arêtes branching from it, and I do believe that's the correct geological terminology. So that's why I created these 3 arêtes in front. On the backside, I only used a few supports because the hills seemed pretty strong by themselves. However, I learned later that more supports are always better, as some of it came apart a little from moving it up into place. Speaking of, let's go ahead and carefully slide them into the city. It's a pretty tight fit. And there we go, Fred-BRICKS-burg now has some big hills in the background. Ideally I would like them a little farther away so it's not such an instant change in scale from the buildings, but it's the best I could do right now with the space available. I think they look pretty good and fairly representative of the hills in the area. There's plenty of room in front for another section, and then I plan on having some more buildings here behind the community center, and then down along the wall as well. Originally I thought I might have bricks left over to build some hills on the right here, but I ended up using all of them for this section, so I'm going to need some more parts to do that. but I think it would look good if they continue over here and probably even help tie the ones we just built into the seam. The hills are looking pretty bare though, so next time I definitely think we need to make some small scale trees to add on top of them. Thanks again to Webrick for sharing some bricks with us. If you're building something big like hills and need a lot of bricks, buying them by the kilo from Webrick is definitely a great option. Be sure to let me know what you think of all the progress I made in this update, and I'll see you next time in Fred-BRICKS-burg.